This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Aegis Capital Corp Investment Growth Conference in Las Vegas 2016. I have with me Mr. Seth Grae from Lightbridge Corp. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is LTBR on NASDAQ. Seth, welcome back to SNNLive.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Shelley.
It's been a while.
Yes.
So let's start out with an overview for our audience on the company.
Well, Lightbridge develops fuel for nuclear power plants that significantly improves their economics and their safety. We also advise governments that are starting nuclear power programs and use that revenue to develop our nuclear fuel technology. And we're coming up on some very big milestones in the company.
And those milestones are?
Well, we expect over the next several months to select the company that will be manufacturing fuel samples that will be tested under commercial reactor conditions at a research reactor in Norway. We're working with Areva, which is the largest nuclear supplier company in the world, on a venture to manufacture our fuel for commercial markets. And we're working with U.S. utilities that will be applying to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for first commercial use of our fuel, what's called lead test assemblies, first use of our fuel in commercial reactors in the U.S. And we're expecting to sign contracts on all of these matters over the next several months.
Where does uranium fit into all this?
Well, the fuel uses uranium and zirconium, so it uses the same supply chains as is currently used in the nuclear power industry, which makes it, quite easier for the existing industry to switch to our fuel versus if they had to use new materials or new infrastructure.
So what safety do you add to the existing uranium?
Lightbridge fuel adds tremendous safety to reactors. The fuel runs about 1,000 degrees Celsius cooler in reactors than the current fuels, under what's called the design basis loss of coolant accident. When the reactors are losing water, this fuel will not get hot enough to generate hydrogen gas that can explode in reactors. That's the gas that exploded at Fukushima. The fuel has what's called much better thermal conductivity, the heat transfer within the fuel, so it cools much more quickly even if the water is running down from the reactor. So the fuel just brings significant safety advantages to existing reactors or to new ones.
I tend to believe that the growth of nuclear reactors around the world is on the increase. Can you comment on that, and how does that affect Lightbridge?
Well, that's exactly right. Lightbridge is benefiting by tremendous growth in nuclear power in China, across Asia, in Europe, around the world. We're a few years past Fukushima now, and the industry is coming back very strongly, partly due to economics of nuclear power, partly due to its lack of emitting any air pollution, and partly due to climate change reasons. And it affects Lightbridge because there's a tremendous market of about 400 reactors in the world that could use our fuel, and hundreds more that are being built or on order that could use our fuel.
How does the current price of uranium, which has kind of been hit and it's at a low, how does that affect your pricing, your commodity, your differentiation?
The relatively low price of uranium helps nuclear a bit, and within that helps Lightbridge a bit, but it's not as much as you'd think, in that the price of uranium is a pretty small portion of the cost of owning and operating a nuclear power plant. So at Lightbridge, our benefits aren't really all that sensitive to changes in the prices of uranium.
Do you specifically alter the reactor? I mean, that's what I really want to get at. What is the specific addition to the uranium in the reactor that Lightbridge provides?
Right. We provide the technology for a new type of fuel rod bundled into a new type of fuel assembly for the reactors. You could see on the investor relations part of the Lightbridge website a report done by Siemens that goes through everything that needs to be done at a reactor to switch to use Lightbridge fuel. And it's not a lot. And the fuel can essentially be used with virtually no change at all to the reactor and just pretty small changes to some other parts of the plant so it can take more power.
It's almost the end of 2016, heading into 2017. What are some of the milestones as CEO that you could share with us that you'd like to see achieved over the course of the next, let's say, 18 months?
Well, I think we'll be hitting some major milestones a lot sooner than 18 months, starting with selecting the company that will manufacture the nuclear fuel samples that will be tested under commercial reactor conditions in Norway at a research reactor at Halden. We'll be seeing some contracting with at least one U.S. utility as they prepare to be the first to use Lightbridge fuel in a commercial reactor in the U.S. We're entering into additional contracts with Areva, the largest nuclear supplier company in the world, for manufacturing Lightbridge fuel. So we have some very significant milestones coming up as we head toward the fuel being used in the U.S. and then in other countries.
On top of safety, right? I mean, what are some of the other advantages to these nuclear reactor companies? Is price a factor? Is longevity a factor?
Right, the price and longevity are both factors. Lightbridge fuel lasts longer in reactors than the current fuels. The fuels allows the reactors to be shut down fewer days per year, generating electricity and revenue more days per year. The fuel makes more electricity every day per year, increasing the revenue for the utility every day the reactor operates. And those improved economics definitely help justify applications for expanding the life terms of the reactors under their licenses as they apply for license extensions.
So, and clean energy continues to grow in the world.
Clean energy continues to grow dramatically in the world. Nuclear is a major part of that in much of the world. Cities want to avoid terrible air pollution as the world wants to avoid the worst effects of climate change. Tremendous growth in nuclear power has to be part of the energy mix to be the answer. And with Lightbridge's improved economics for nuclear and improved safety for nuclear, we think we're going to be a major part of causing nuclear to get there.
Seth, let's get some information out about the management team and your board and your group, your team.
Lightbridge has a world-class management team and board and advisors. Our advisors include Hans Blix, who was the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, who led the group that did not find weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Sam Vaidyanathan, who had been the head of nuclear fuel technology for GE, Norton Shapiro, who had been the head of nuclear technology for Westinghouse. The board includes Ambassador Thomas Graham, who negotiated the worldwide indefinite extension of the non-proliferation treaty. Management includes Jim Malone, who was responsible for nuclear fuels at Exelon, the largest nuclear utility in the U.S. I could go on and on. I'll point you to our website to see others. It is just a world-class team of people from around the U.S. and around the world.
Speaking of, let's get your website out there for more information.
LTBridge.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Seth Grae, Lightbridge Corp. It's a publicly traded company, and the symbol is LTBR. I'm Shelley Kraft. We're coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're at the Aegis Capital Corp. Investment Growth Conference in Las Vegas 2016. Seth, pleasure to have you back on.
Pleasure to be with you on SNN, Shelley.
Thank you.
Thank you.